Revenge films.
This was about 16 years ago. Back then, I lived with my wife and son. Life was good, you know? But after my son turned 4, things started to fall apart. I met my wife through work. 6 months before the wedding, we started living together. She quit her job to become a housewife. Back then, I was really busy with my work and my house was a mess. So she decided to quit and do things around the house for me. But I was always working late. Sometimes I had to work on the weekends. I barely got to see her. But she never complained. She was so good to me. She did everything around the house for me. A few months later, after the wedding, we found out that she was pregnant. It was a beautiful boy. He looked exactly like my wife. My dad was a banker who was never home, and my mom died when I was a kid, so I never got to spend a lot of time with my parents. So I didn't want to do that to my kid. I was going to do all kinds of stuff with him. Go to the beach, go fishing, go camping, play catch, all that good stuff. I was so happy. And life was good. But then, on my son's 4th birthday, my brother said to me, "His blood type, he's not your son." I was so stupid. I never even thought about it, but I was type AB, and my wife was type O, same as our son. But the odds of my son being a type O was less than 0.001%. It was a 1 in a million case. My brother suggested that I do a DNA test, and I agreed. One day, my son said,
"Dad, let's play soccer!"
But it just wasn't the same. I know it's not his fault, but still. And he looked nothing like me or my wife. I was starting to feel disgusted. I waited anxiously for the results to come back.
Bob says you're not playing with him as much. What happened?
Said my wife one day. I just said, "Oh, sorry, I've been busy with work." How can she just talk to me like that, though? She was starting to piss me off. 3 weeks later, the test results came back. It wasn't my kid. Everything started to fall apart in front of me. I thought about keeping quiet about this to keep the peace. Soon, I lost my mind. I even tried to kill myself once. When my brother saw me in the hospital, he said, "Dude, it's over." So I asked him to take it from there. He started collecting evidence. Unlike me, my brother was super smart. He was an elite, and so were his friends. He got a dream team together in no time, including his friend who was a lawyer. Then he got everyone together at the lawyer's office. He handed them the results of the DNA test and told them what I wanted. At first, she tried to lie her way out of it.
Blood type? These things happen sometimes, trust me. He's the father.
But when she saw the results of the DNA test, she knew she was screwed. She started hyperventilating. Then she spilled everything.
I moved in with him. I wanted to do things around the house for him, you know? But he was barely home, and I got really lonely. So I started using one of those dating apps. That's when I met Bob. At first, it was just dinner, but soon we got really close and...
And you knew the kid was his, right? Why didn't you say anything? My brother nearly died because of you.
I didn't know. I thought about calling off the marriage, but... we already paid for the wedding and... I just felt bad for everyone, so I kept quiet.
I had nothing to say to her. I wasn't even sad anymore. After that, my brother and the lawyer tore them apart. Her dad worked at the city office. Unlike me, he graduated from a really good university, so he always looked down on me, my ex-wife too. So at first, he thought he could talk his way out of this, but after my lawyer was done with him, he looked like an empty shell of a man. My wife ended up paying me $80,000. The guy ended up paying me $40,000. Here's the breakdown. $52,000 for alimony from the ex-wife, including the wedding fee. $22,000 for the money I spent to raise her son. $6,500 for the money she took out of my savings account. $30,000 for alimony from the guy. $6,500 for the money he took out of my savings account. My lawyer told me that it was a lot for a divorce settlement, probably the most he's seen in his career. He said it was a huge victory, but honestly, I didn't care about the money. I just wanted this to be a bad dream. The guy was completely broke after paying me, so he said he couldn't raise a child. He promised to never see my ex-wife again and left. In the end, I took custody of my son. But it was 6 months after the divorce. At first, I was so disgusted by all of this. I said to my wife, I don't ever want to see you or your son again. I thought I wouldn't be able to look at him in his eyes even if I took him in. But then, a few months after the divorce, I made a new discovery about my ex-wife. Turns out the guy she was seeing wasn't even the father. First, I was convinced that he was the father because he was type B, but he was actually type BB. My brother did some more digging. Turns out she had relations with many different guys. She had a lot of skeletons in the closet. Scared about what might come out next, she left her son at her parents' house and disappeared into thin air. She didn't deserve to be a mother. When I heard about all of this, I felt so bad for my son. I couldn't stop thinking about him, so I decided to take him in. Since nobody knew who the real father was, his grandparents weren't very nice. Even after I took him in, he didn't open up to me for a while. I should have done this from the beginning. None of this was his fault. I felt so bad. Anyways, fast forward a few years. He graduated college, got a job, and left home. Then, on his first payday...
Hey, Dad, you free this weekend? I'll be in town, so wanna grab a drink? It's my first payday, so it's on me.
Thanks, son. But you should save that money for yourself.
Oh, come on, Dad. Just let me buy you a drink. I owe everything to you, Dad.
Owe me?
Yeah, you raised me single-handedly, even though I wasn't really related to you.
You knew?
Of course I know. I remember everything. I was so happy when you came and picked me up from my grandparents' house. Everything I have today is because of you, Dad. So thank you. Really.
I cried like a baby. And I felt so bad. I mean, after the divorce, I thought about abandoning him. He's such a sweet kid. All kinds of emotions ran through my mind. I couldn't stop crying for a while. Thanks for being my son. I love you, kiddo. He didn't say anything back to me, though. He just sat there and smiled.
How was today's video? If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Stay tuned for more.